I could make Mr. Obama famous in the Philippines. And how we're doing this is naturally. I told you I'm going to put up my placards and the posters on the ceiling from these bamboo poles, and I have some other things I will put on there as well, my hats. But I have it turned in my beautiful apartment into a complete workshop. So I kind of, what this project is a part of this project. These pieces of wood, I cut it with a machete and the hand saw. And these are 3 different logs that I found on the beach. Because I am a cheap person and I figure if I kind of get stuff for free, I will do it like that. And what happens is the feet of the beds, the foots of the beds, these are feet, they go inside of the logs. And when they go inside the logs, it raises up the bed, and I have a storage under the bed. And this plywood will be to even extend them up another 17 inches when I make some 4 boxes out of this plywood and a step platform down on this side over here, so I could not fall off a bed that is 5 feet high when I'm done with it, because it's going to be 5 feet high. And I have the 4th piece outside, which is a whole tree, 9 foot long, and the notch is in that piece also. So this is what we have. We're going to have this brush, which I will use to paint the plywood. It will save me 4 or 5 hours each day by using a broom instead of a paintbrush, because how much paint can you actually put on this paintbrush? So I am saving. This is a cost of a living video in the Philippines. I am saving money by using the natural resources of the Philippines for the vertical stanchions. And I am building a studio, and so far my entire studio has only cost about 3,000 pesos for glue, screws, and these 2 sheets of plywood. All of the lumber is free. Now there's more lumber over here for benches, for my eating area, because instead of having a table on my balcony, I'm going to build it out of driftwood. This is the bench, and these are more pieces of bamboo that I will use for various projects like hanging shirts and Obama paraphernalia. Mr. Obama, we're going to make you famous. So far, I have saved much money. Instead of buying a drop cloth, I use cardboard, simple cardboard. I found a building that they're doing construction on, and I have been collecting cardboard boxes since maybe 1 month ago. And the cardboard is free. I took out the staples, so there's no staples. Just one piece has the staples. And then the rest of the wood, I do not need any more wood when I'm done. And the boxes that I will put the vertical stanchions, which you kind of see is a tree. But what we're going to do is we're going to paint this wood, because it's a very dusty lumber. It has a dust and it has a dirt, even though I have left it out in the rain and the sun for almost 1 month, almost 2 months now. Still has the dust inside of the grain of the wood. When you go like this, kind of see the dust. But when I put 1 coat of a paint, which is a first coat on the driftwood, goes 1 coat of paint thinned out 50%. That will go into the porousness, the porosity of the lumber itself, and then that will lock up the outside dust, and the rest of the dust will just be part of the decor. You will still be able to see the grain. I don't want to paint the lumber. And on this plywood, we'll go 1 coat on all edges and sides. Then I have a border ruler. Right, there's my new ruler. And I will after the wood is painted, I will put my marks on it in pencil, which we'll be able to see. And I have a brand new saw outside, which is a very nice saw. I could get that saw. Hold on, we'll get that saw right now. Could look at this for a minute. There you go. And our backhoe videos, you will see that everything is painted orange or green or yellow. I have painted my tools my entire life. There are 3 reasons to paint tools yellow or orange or green. The first reason, and the primary reason, is most of my life I was in the excavation business. And as an excavation contractor owning cranes, barge dragon, which had a crane on it. I had a land crane with a pile driver. Barge dragon was a marine construction crane. It had a 5,000 amp welder, 500 amp welder with a 2-cylinder diesel. It had a Rupp Gorman 18-inch high pressure, high volume 4-cylinder diesel pump with a 6-inch out, 6 inches in, 6 inches out, reduced down to 4 with a 3.5-inch stinger, which pumped about 900 to 1,000 gallons per minute. And you would put the stinger in the ground like you put a hose in the ground, but it would make a 3-foot hole 30 feet deep. Depending on the material, it could take 4 or 5 minutes, it could take a half an hour where you put the stinger in. But either way, everything I've ever done, my tools will get wet. So the paint, which I used a good paint, I used flectoferrithane paint. It's the best plastic enamel paint that you can purchase in the world, and you can't buy a better paint. It's just that simple. And when I used the flectoferrithane paint, the paint would stay on the tools for 20 years, some of the original paint. And when I used a regular oil-based paint, I used an additive in the paint itself. Some people call it fisheye oil. If it was an acrylic paint, you would use Acryl 60. It makes the paint flexible, and then it makes the paint stick to any surface, including glass and tile. An oil-based product, there was another name of a product I used, maybe $15 or $20 a gallon, and you mix it 25% into any oil-based paint, and it does the same thing. It'll make it stick to glass or plastic. It actually, it goes into it and it emulsifies on a molecular level, and it makes the paint thin enough to go into the pores of even glass, because glass is porous. Anyway, that's the first reason I paint my tools because as they get wet, and especially in salt water, it protects the tools. And the second reason is because if you drop a tool in sand, even if you just see this little piece right here, just little teeny piece of the thing, it's orange. There's nothing in nature that is orange in mud. No clams are orange, no seashells are orange. Yeah, the inside of a seashell might be orange, but it's more of a pinkish beige. But moving past that, then you could see any portion of any tool in sand or mud. Also, you could see it at night. And the third reason, which was a primary factor when I lived in certain places or worked in certain places, is because the men had a tendency to put my tools in their toolbox, and after a few weeks, you would go to 3 or 4 different jobs, and the men would forget that bright orange tool was mine, and they would go to a different job and work for somebody else, and my tools would be missing. However, 7 years, 10 years after the fact, I would walk into somebody's shed and see my yellow shovel or my yellow rake on their wall, and I would just walk over to the wall and take it off the thing, and I would say, "Thank you for storing my yellow rake or my yellow shovel." And that person never worked for me again, because they knew it was my yellow shovel. They just felt entitled. So that's the third major reason. It keeps people a little honest. And the fourth reason is, I mean, who the hell wants to glom, what we would call in Brooklyn, glom yellow or orange tools? Can't sell them to the local people, can't use them for yourself, so you have to sell them to somebody else out of the neighborhood for pennies on the dollar. And then again, if you're trying to sell tools that are orange or yellow, and you mention it to somebody, they're going to say, oh, those are Michael Fazio's tools. What are you doing with his tools? And then it would get back to me, and then they would never work for me again either. But other things could also happen. It would depend on the situation and the amount of tools. One time I found quite a cache of tools. I got them all back too, and everybody was happy at the end of the day. No, not everybody, but almost everybody. So that's what we're doing. We're going to put one coat on, and when you put paint, when you thin it out, first, before you put the paint in the brush, you take soap, regular Palmolive dish soap, and you put it into the back of the brush, in the bottom of the brush, and then that means, and you could mix it with 20% water or 50% water, but I put pure soap in the bottom of the brush, and then at the end of the day, when you're cleaning the brush, the soap keeps the bottom hair of the brush from drying up. If the brush is left out for half an hour while you're doing some other moving lumber or whatever, you put the soap in the bottom of the brush, and at the end of the day, you just wash the brush, and the soap makes the paint come out of the brush. I put the soap on the whole brush because the first part of the painting project, I'll paint the edge of the lumber. It doesn't matter if it has soap in it or not. If it does, I'll just wash it off on some miscellaneous item. So you back up the brush. I don't use a roller. I use a brush when I'm painting lumber. And then I go across the grain, I go with the grain, and then I go diagonal to the grain. That's what I do. And then that puts the paint into the porosity of the lumber. The edges, I give one good smush, a good smush. I call it a smush. Just really heavy duty, one coat on the edges, and then I'll lap in. I guess I could show you how I do the edge here. So this already has soap in it, but it dried off. So we're going to do one edge now. Here, we'll put one good smush on here, yeah, like that. Up. And okay, now, and then this lumber, that's a good smush. Now look how much paint you can get on. You can get a 6-inch swath on the plywood itself. With one quick brush, I just did almost an entire foot of wood, 4 foot long. And if I push it, I can do an entire foot of lumber, 1 foot long. And I will. But not the bottom edge. The bottom edge of the, well, I could do that. I could do the bottom edge. So, what did I do? I put that brush in that paint can. I only put the first 4 inches of the brush in the paint, and I just did 15 inches by 4 feet with a solid coat and 2 edges. So I did 18 inches by 2 feet. Now I'll let that, I will not go over this. This is only a first coat, and even though it's not so uniform, I don't care, because these are going to be my boxes that hold up the bed. And then when the boxes are going to be 18 inches long, they're going to be 17 inches wide, and they're going to be 17 inches high. They're going to have a bottom. Well, actually, it's going to be the top, but one side is going to be enclosed, and then I'm just going to put the box upside down, and then I will put these stanchions on top of the box, like that, on top of the box. You'll see the project when it's done, of course, but then I will put and then when I decide to move, or if I decide that I would like to store stuff, I can put a top on the box and throw stuff that I won't use, like tools for whatever tools I don't need every day to do whatever projects I'm on. I can put them in the box, and then just pick up a corner of the bed and take the box out, and I'll have like another piece of lumber the height of the box to stick under the foot of the post, and then that would be for storage. So that's my project for today, and Mr. Obama's keeping me company over here. Of course, Mr. Obama is keeping me company because he is with the Skull and Bones Society, and he is a member of, probably an honorary member of the Skull and Bones, and more even importantly, probably only an honorary member of the Order of Masons, because I doubt he could remember the hand signals. I don't think he's smart enough to move through the procedure properly. So what we got here is, we have here a situation where Rabbi Drew Barker is in the Philippines saving money by finding lumber on the beach. Now, I walk along the beach sometimes for 2 or 3 kilometers. Those logs were, oh God, they were a good 1.5 kilometers from the house. So I just took one of my ropes. I have ropes that I carry with me on my carabiner, and then I rolled the log to the ocean, and then I pulled it back in the ocean. That's exercise for the rabbi. Could see I'm losing weight. Have lost already, since I've been in the Philippines, I have lost 32 kilos, which is 67 pounds. No joke, 67 pounds. I was 267 pounds when I moved to the Philippines. And now I'm right down real close to 200, 199, 201. And I'm in much better shape than I was because I wasn't getting any exercise in America, because I was only cleaning up my property. So, because I had to sell it, because Obama destroyed the economy, and the mortgage company still wanted their $7,000 a month, and I couldn't afford that from 2009, and I sold the mortgage company. I will move out. And they said, no, Mr. Fazio, please stay in the house until we sell it or until we ask you to move. And in my area of the Florida Keys where I lived, the mortgage itself wasn't $7,000 a month, but the insurances and the taxes on the property came out to very close to that. And when I had an excavation company and I was making money before Obama came into the White House and before Bush destroyed the economy, because they both suck. They're both members of the Skull and Bones Society, and they both are part of a much more complex plan. Some people call it the New World Order. Some people call it the Bilderberg Society, the John Birch Society. My friend Manny, oh my God, he has more names for these people. They're just evil beings. Now, which brings me to why I'm building the studio, actually. I will tell you why I'm building the studio. Okay, people think that my dollar bill videos are crazy, but I have many challenges to everybody in the world. I have challenged Eric Klein of George Washington University, who's supposed to be the world's leading scholar on the Ark of the Covenant. The most intelligent person in the world, he is, number one. He's the most intelligent person in the world about the Ark of the Covenant. And he didn't see the Ark of the Covenant on the $1 bill. I have to ask myself, how did that happen? How did he not see the Ark of the Covenant? Then, so he needs to be, I need to straighten out his ass, and I'm going to make some videos to do that. And then there's another guy who's a number 2. Not number 1, but he's a number 2. But he's a number 1 at Duke University. He needs to get some information from Michael Fazio. His name is Mark Goodacre. He thinks of my dollar bill videos. He won't take my challenge. He won't answer my emails, my phone calls, many phone calls. Well, now I live in the Philippines, I stopped, because they're not going to acknowledge the fact that the Ark of the Covenant in pictographic form was on the dollar bill since they printed it in 1935, and they needed a supercomputer to make the dollar bill with all the pictographs and also associate the words in the Bible to the pictographs in a systematic order. Now, Manny thinks these guys are just pure evil. They come around lately talking about maybe they're not human, or he calls them human. Maybe they're human, maybe they're not human. I'm telling all you people of the world, this world has been controlled by something. either originated on this planet, or that either originated on this planet, that either originated or originated on another planet. If there are planets, we can get into the flat earth theory with the gravity and all. None of that shit matters. My discovery, Michael Fazio, for 88 years, the Ark of the Covenant sat upon the water. Not only did it sit there, but no one noticed it. So we're talking about the dollar bill, the back of the dollar bill, wherever that is. It's over there. I don't need to show you that. The back of the dollar bill has a pictograph of the Ark of the Covenant, including the six-winged seraphim, including the Lord God's first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me, a.k.a. God, in God we trust one. That's the first commandment. Has the Lord God sitting in the mercy seat, which is the word one represents the God per se. And also, if you look at it from a 15-degree angle with light on it from the way you're facing, you will see it has 7 lines. And that means when you look at it from that 15-degree angle like this, which is different than like this and like that, where Mr. Obama, he goes like this and like that, and he let Mr. Larry Sinclair go goes more like this, Mr. Larry Sinclair. But anyway, that word one, the word one is raised up off the dollar bill. And the Lord is elevated above everything else. So it's a pictograph now. It's not a picture, it's a pictograph. So you have the Lord God on the Ark of the Covenant as a raised word one. The word one is the biggest word that was ever put on any bill up until maybe recently. I haven't seen any American money. But the six-winged seraphim exist on the dollar bill. And in Revelation 4 verses 6 and 7, it talks about the 4 beasts, and the 4 beasts are, now first let me give you the definition of the word beast. The word beast itself denotes any living animal. It doesn't matter. Any living mammal, I think it is. No, mammal, non-mammal. A leviathan is a beast, and that's an ocean creature, semi-ocean, whatever. A cow is a beast. A human being is a beast. A monkey is a beast. Any living... So it has, in Revelation 4, verses 6 and 7, talks about the 4 beasts. One of the beasts that it talks about is the six-winged seraphim with faces that face before and behind. That protects the Ark of the Covenant. It's on the dollar bill. It's right there, plain as day. And that's my #1 video. And it maybe has 300,000 views in the last year and a half or so, whatever it is. But that's one beast. The second beast is the lion. Okay, now the lion is the king, right? The king of the jungle. Well, the word one represents the king. It's the biggest word on any bill. Could be the lion. But God and Jesus are the same person. Or maybe they're both God-like. Okay, so even though Jesus didn't sit in the Ark of the Covenant, Jesus says, I am, like my Father's like me. Anybody that wants to play around with these words, I mean, here's for you. You could be #1, I could be #2, but I'm the person that discovered the Ark of the Covenant. So moving back, that if Jesus is God and Jesus is represented as the word one also represents one. And the first tribe of Israel was the tribe of Judah, and Jesus is a descendant from the tribe of Judah, and the tribe of Judah is known as, Jesus is known as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So it talks about lion. There's Jesus in the Ark of the Covenant. He's the lion. Talks about the beasts that protect the Ark of the Covenant, depending on which Bible, or the six-winged seraphim with faces that face before and behind. Like there's a face on the dollar bill that faces left of center, and then there's one that faces right of center, and this area here would be where the 13 beads are, but they're not actually beads, they're seeds for the 2 seed pods, which is the evil seed of death with the eagle in it, and that's the third beast, the eagle. The eagle represents one of the beasts in Revelation 4, verses 6 and 7. That's the third beast. The Lion of the tribe of Judah is the second beast. The sixth-winged seraphim is the third beast. And the fourth beast is a bullock or a calf. And when you look at the edge of the dollar bill and you fold it in what I call fazigami, that's Fazigami, fazigami, which is in my video, which I keep posting on my page, fazigami, $10,000 challenge, you can't prove me wrong. When you look at the bill, when it's slightly creased, it shows you the face of a bullock. Now, some sort of computer, we can go back to Manny Skywatch, because some sort of computer, more sophisticated, that had the ability to do non-Euclidean optics. Okay, that's different than Euclidean optics. Non-Euclidean optics take many points of a sphere and you create, you know, a three-dimensional construct. But in this case, there are hundreds of three-dimensional constructs when you fold the dollar bill. And that's all in my book, Angels on the Ark by Michael Fazio, available at Amazon.com. The link is under the eagle on my home page, on the bottom right-hand corner of the dollar bill. That link works perfect. Some people have had trouble with my website because they don't know how to fill out the form. They give us a different email address than the one that's on their credit card. So I suggest you use the link to Amazon and you won't have a problem. But moving past that, those are the four beasts. And I am the person that discovered it. And moving back, so 88 years before I published my book, somebody knows those pictographs are on the dollar bill because somebody put them there. And to prove my point even further, the Vatican, I say the Vatican controls this world, and the people that control the Vatican, or the entities or the beings or the creatures that control the Vatican, because it may very well be that the Vatican is controlled by these alien beings, alien to us as humans, as my friend Manny says. The Vatican has the largest pictograph, the Ark of the Covenant represents Christianity, God coming down from heaven, Moses getting the instructions how to build it. Oh, and by the way, the Ark of the Covenant on the dollar bill is to scale of the original measurements that are given to Moses in Exodus 25, I believe. So, Exodus 20. So, one of those two. I haven't read the Bible in a long time, but when I wrote my book, I was in it every day. It doesn't matter. I should be the most famous person in the whole damn world. I discovered the Ark of the Covenant in the 20th century, and no one will give Michael Fazio 2 Nobel Prizes for my discovery and what's in my book. But so I need to build this studio to help people understand where they made their mistake in life by not listening to Michael Fazio. And getting back to those people. Now, Mark Goodacre from Duke University, in case you weren't paying attention, he is the head of the anthropology department at Duke University in Georgia. Now, he saw one of the videos I made trying to teach Eric Klein, that's Kit Klein with a K, which I can't post any of his stuff because he makes everything copyrighted, so I can mention his name because he needs a good instructor in Michael Fazio. So not only is the Ark of the Covenant on the dollar bill, and those two guys are the number 1 and number 2, which is different than a number 1. Those two guys are the two leading experts, 1 and 2, on the Ark of the Covenant. And they won't acknowledge my work, my book, my videos, and my emails, and my phone calls. And that's all I did. Maybe 6 or 7 times I tried to get in touch with them. I had a 17-page letter that I created with video links, and they wouldn't give me the time of day, so I have to give them some information because they're number 1 and number 2 in the world. So I also have to teach other people other things. So now, if you think this is the non-Euclidean optic things made by a computer before the year 1935, when they didn't have computers, maybe the concept of computers existed, but they didn't have it. There are other pictographs, also 3D constructs. One is the Bohemian Grove owl, when you fold the dollar bill a certain way and bring the evil seed of death, which is under the eagle, and the God pod, which is the pyramid. The pyramid has the glory, and the evil seed of death has the nuclear detonation, because they're going to destroy this world with nuclear energy. You mark my words, they're going to destroy this. Fukushima, baby. Anybody doing anything about Fukushima? Doesn't matter how loud we yell, doesn't matter how many people yell, doesn't matter what we say, curse, nice, videos, 1,000 people, and nobody gives a crap about Fukushima. It's just one of 400 nuclear power plants that are about to go radioactive. Radioactive. There will be a chain reaction on this planet. Well, moving past that. So anyway, the Ark of the Covenant represents the Vatican. The Vatican is the biggest pictograph on the dollar bill, therefore they're in charge. The second one is the Bohemian Grove Owl. They're in charge, the Vatican is control of religion, which is bullshit from the get-go. And all religion is bullshit, all seeded by these same beings, so that it covers them. If you didn't like this one, you have a choice to go. It's all the same shit. They all agree with war. The Vatican doesn't have a problem with America starting wars. The Protestants don't. The politicians are Protestants. They're Jewish. They're Catholic. They're Christian. Good Christians. Oh my God. Nothing like a good Christian spends 20 minutes blessing McDonald's hamburger. The damn thing is cold before you get to eat it, but you know, it's a gift of God. But anyway, also if you're a Christian, the difference between Christian and Catholic is Catholic, when you commit a sin, you have to go to church and tell some schlep in a black robe that and he's an intermediary to God, and then he talks to God and forgives you somehow. But Christians, they can just pray to God and ask forgiveness. They're given forgiveness for anything. It doesn't matter. You could do anything. You could kill somebody and be a Christian and then die, and you, as long as you get to pray to God before you die, if whatever, even if it was an accident, you pray, and God forgives you because you ask. You're a Christian. You got to get what you want because you're a good Christian, and God loves Christians and Catholics. But the Jewish people, they don't care about any of that crap, and they have the Kabbalah, which says that we are goyim and we are garbage or cattle. We are supposed to be treated like cattle. Now what else? And then, so the Bohemian Grove Society is represented by the Bohemian Grove Owl. But then when you flip the bill, all of this is in my channel video. It's a 6-minute video. There were 7 items I mentioned really quick, and then there are other video links that you can look at. Just Google anything I say in the video. Google it. You'll see. You'll come to 20 or 30 videos. But I'm making this studio. I'm going to be more professional about the whole thing. I'm not going to curse in my new videos. Well, not so much as I used to, but I am going to teach, not abuse. See, I have this thing about, if I'm right and you're wrong, I'll tell you that you're wrong and I'm right, and I will bet you any amount of money because I'm smarter than anybody else in the whole damn world when it comes to the Ark of the Covenant being on the dollar bill. It's my discovery. I didn't put it there. So you have the Ark of the Covenant, the Bohemian Grove Owl, and then you have the Yale Skull and Bones, which is represented as, well, I could have showed you this, but I have, being that I'm not doing anything. Really, let's see. Which one is this? This is the traveling DOD. Okay. Up. 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 That's the traveling DOD. And then you have the bat and the owl. There we go. And we have the bat and the owl. Hold on a minute, I have to go do something. Okay, so here is everything that I just talked about in its, look at this, in its entirety. There is, talk about the last thing I thought, there is the skull and bones right there as the nose right above the orange V, and the owl, the bat, and the bat's wings, they go over the seed pods, and this is the God pod right there, and that's the evil seed of death. And when you look at it from this angle, there's the Bohemian Grove Owl right there, like that. And what do you have? You have the Indian chief, which is the chief, the commander-in-chief. But this is the Satan, or Satan-type Indian chief. He's the god of war. And you know he's the god of war because you could see the arrows in the Indian chief's talons. I have bigger posters of this. And they have the bow, which is bough, B-O-U-G-H, bough of olive branch. But it could also be spelled bow, and you have a bow and arrows in the Indian chief's hand. And when you turn it over, it's not a glory. It's not a glory. It's a nuclear detonation. Those are the particles that are expanding exponentially. The outside white line is the flash. The inside line is the thunder or the blast. And the interior particles of red, white, and blue, those are the radioactive particles expanding exponentially after, they call it a critical mass, and that's what causes a nuclear detonation. But I don't want to teach you about nuclear detonation. And this is a glory. The rays of light emanate from the center. Boom and boom. Two different things. Glory, light, brings life. Nuclear detonation, different kind of light, destroys life. Everything in the God pod is alive. Grass, trees, herb, water, sand, sky, heavens. Everything in the evil seed of death is death. Eagle is a killing machine. Nuclear detonation, bow and arrows, Indian chief. The eagle represents Obama. He's a starter of many wars. He doesn't care. He's destroying the world. That's the plan by the New World Order, and that's why I'm building my studio. So what do we have to do at this point? I could have shown you the paint, how it already dried. Right, that's already dry. It's one coat, thinned out 50%. So that went into the pores of the lumber, and now it is ready. Well, that's basically, I just wanted to teach you how to paint properly. And when the paint is thinned out 50%, the water opens up the pores and makes the paint go into the porosity of the lumber, the wood acts more like a sponge. If you just use the paint straight out of the can, it just sits on top of the porosity of the sponge or the wood or the metal, depending on what you're painting, if you don't thin it out properly first coat. Actually, there's a way to even make it even better. You can put hot water on it, and that opens it up, expands the pore. When I used to build airplanes out of wood, I'm a licensed A&P jet mechanic. That's why, one of the reasons why I say I'm 250 times smarter than anybody else on the planet, especially when it comes to pictographs on the $1 bill and the words in the Bible. But I discovered this because I have 2 federal licenses, airframe and power plant, with the tag to do reciprocating engines. In order to get that license, you have to take aircraft technology and blueprint reading. I took an extended course in aircraft design and blueprint reading and creating blueprints, and then I worked at Fairchild Industries. Was one of the lead men on, actually I worked in the jig shop, which I was in the jig shop 5 weeks after I started working for Fairchild Industry. Guys ask for that job for 10 years and they don't get it. I was in aviation industries in Fairchild Republic Airport for 5 weeks, and they put me in the jig shop because I modified some of their stuff that they made a mistake building the A-10A, which is the Warthog, and I showed them how to modify it. I don't even remember what it was I showed them, and my crew chief said, you need to be with people that are on your level. I was, I think, 19. He said, you want to put you in the jig shop, and on the jig shop, that was pretty cool. They had granite surfaces smoothed to within 10,000th of an inch, like 10 feet by 20 feet long, and then micrometers that would, slide around on stainless steel bases, chromium bases. It was pretty cool. I liked that job. And anyway, I used to modify a lot of shit on airplanes, but that's why so that's how I discovered the pictograph, because the whole dollar bill is just an architectural blueprint getting back to the dollar bill itself that can't or could not have been created by any human being, because you needed a supercomputer. And supercomputers didn't exist in 1935. So they didn't exist, and who had the supercomputers? Only the alien beings, or alien to us beings, okay? Now, this is the owl. There's the red eyes and the snout of a horned owl, okay? Just a regular horned owl. The wings go over. There's one wing, two wings. There's the owl. Here is the skull and bones. There's the nose of the hog-nosed bat, H-O-G, hog-nosed bat. If you Google hog-nosed bat, you're going to see that bat right there. You're going to see the face of that bat with the wings in the Encyclopedia Britannica. But more than that, the average length of a hog-nosed bat is 2 3/8 of an inch. Now, they couldn't make the length of the bat from nose to the back of its tail 2 3/8, but when you fold the dollar bill in this exact configuration, from this area here, from the outside of that lime green line to the outside of this lime green line, is 2 3/8 of an inch. So they even stuck that right in your nose, and no one noticed except Michael Fazio, which is why I'm 250 times smarter than anybody else that has ever lived when it comes to certain things. And that includes the Ark of the Covenant and the Bible in relationship to the Ark of the... No one... Okay, somebody put it there, but they weren't human, so that makes me more smarter than any human because I figured it out. Now, I don't even know who knew about it, if anybody. I might be the only person in the world that knew about it. That certainly that's not part of their crew. And anybody else that might have noticed any single thing that I talked about didn't have the access to bring it to the world. Now, here are the 6-winged seraphim. You have one to the right of the red, white, and blue beads. There's one face with one eye. And then you have one face with one eye in the green to the left of the seeds. And those are the faces of the cherub that face before and behind. And then when you hold it, when you look at the bill from a 15-degree angle like this, and it's folded up a little bit like this. I can't do it with the gloves. Could do it a little bit. When you fold it like this, like that, you could see the face of the bullock. This is not bull-loney, ladies. This is real. This is real. It's really there. I really discovered it. I should be... You get these dummkopf. See, I stopped cursing already. It's freaking amazing. I even amazed myself about that. A dummkopf. I never called anybody a dummkopf in my whole... Even when I was a kid, I would just say, you are a low-class... I'm really good at that. Really good at that. And anybody that knows me knows I'm telling you the truth, too. But anyway, what we got here is you're looking at the world's smartest person. And we're going to get to a video about another person that was just as smart when it comes to construction, who was part of 9/11, who kept his name out of the papers. But I know who he was, and he knows who I am. And we're going to talk about another of the world's, but for right now, I'll take the spotlight, baby. I am the king of the $1 bill. That's right. Now, if there's anything else that you need to know, so here is the skull and bones on the dollar bill. Now, this is the skull and bones logos because the eyes of the skull that you see over the orange V have 3 lines, are comprised of 3 lines left and 3 lines right. That's 6 lines. Then there are 6 teeth in the top row and 6 teeth in the bottom row. If you take a dollar bill out of your pocket and fold it in this exact configuration and blow it up, well, look at it with a microscope or a good lens, you can see, like a jeweler's loupe, you can see that's it. So those lines represent 6, 6, and 6, which is 18. The year the skull and bones was created was 1832. And you see the 3 dark lines to the right and left of the skull, which are contiguous. So you have the number 3, and then inside those dark lines are 2 sets of 2 white lines with a dark line in the middle, 2, 2. So you have 1832, but also you have the number 322, aka Michael Fazio broke their code, and I am the smartest person in the whole damn world, bar none. And of course, the world, according to the world, Eric Klein is number 1 from George Washington University in Washington, D.C. And Mark Goodacre is number 1 in anthropology at Duke University. So they're 1 and 2 when it comes. But I will challenge them to any amount of money. Any amount of money. Anything. Whatever they got, I will challenge them to. And they won't take my challenge. I already posted a $50,000. So if you was the world's number 1 scholar in a subject, and some Dutch bag, that's D-U-T-C-A, some Dutch bag carpenter from Queens, New York said, I will challenge you to $50,000 challenge. I will make a challenge. I'm smarter than you. And you're the world's expert. You're the world's leading expert on the Ark of the Covenant. Kevin Klein, you're number 1. Mark Goodacre, you're number 2. You're number 1 at Duke, and Kevin Klein. If you're the world's leading expert at some Dutch bag carpenter from Queens, New York, carpenter, Jesus was a carpenter, says to you, I will challenge you in a public debate. We'll have an audience that is ambient, people taken off the street, just randomly taken. I will show them and you prove to me that the Ark of the, and I'll prove to them the Ark of the Covenant, and you're the world's leading expert on and you didn't see it. People will agree that they see it and they understand. Of course, I have to take people that are knowledgeable of the Bible, Exodus, and what the Ark of the Covenant looks like, but not randomly off the street. I'm not going to go to Harlem and grab a couple of crack hoes, but I will find people that are knowledgeable. I will pick them randomly. It'll be a lot of them. I will kick their asses. The carpenter from Howard Beach. Look up Howard Beach, see what it's famous for. Never mind, don't do that. But anyway, so this is what you have to understand, and this is what that you are looking at. One of this 200, I'm a 200, and if 250 times smarter than the average human being. I made these discoveries. Somebody put something, some entity, God did not do it. Aliens did it to control the world, and that's what the Skull and Bones Society is. One offshoot of the control of the Vatican is controlling the Skull and Bones Society, and the Bohemian Grove Society, which controls the war machine, and the Skull and Bones Society controls the Bank of England, and if the Vatican is the biggest pictograph on the dollar bill, they control the Bank of England and the war machine of America. I don't know how Russia fits into this, but don't imagine that I would imagine that because we don't get the real news, which my friend Manny from Manny Scholar should have subbed his channel. He's the greatest man on YouTube. I love that guy. I love his enthusiasm. I'm a very laid back, easy, I'm very smooth. They used to call me Mr. Congeniality. I know you don't believe it, but I am Mr. Congeniality in the world of YouTube, baby. If there's anything that I missed, you kind of ask me questions. Could be. Could ask me questions if you like. You could ask me anything you want. We'll tell you. And I will tell Eric Klein right now. Eric Klein, you're number 1, baby. You are number 1, Eric. You're number 1. And Mark Goodacre you're number 1 too. 1 and 2, you guys are 1 and 2, baby. That's right here. Number 1, Eric Klein, and number 2, Mark Goodacre, or number 1, Mark Goodacre, and number 2, Mark Goodacre. It depends on your point of view. Remember those street things. Always remember those street things when you're talking about Mr. Obama. If Mr. Obama had a son, the son would have looked like a Trayvon Martin. That's right. And if he had a son, his son would be deceased son would be, of course, Trayvon Martin, unfortunately, Trayvon Martin died in a tragic accident. And if he was dead, if it was true, maybe it was a false flag event. If it was true, then where would he go? Because he was posting gangster videos on his Facebook page or whatever, somewhere had those videos up. They took them down right away so it would not be riots. Because the white people would see that the government is one-sided and lopsided when it comes to racial discrimination. They discriminate against whites, but they don't discriminate against blacks or Muslims now. That guy shot 5 people last week, and they refuse to admit, even though he had ties to Muslims and his father was under investigation by the FBI for having ties. They refused to put that in the paper. So what you have is these organizations that control the world, and they're all part and parcel. So Trayvon Martin's son, Trayvon Martin would be, if he was dead, I'm not sure he's dead, I did not see him die. He would probably be not in heaven. I don't think he would be in heaven. Could be wrong about that. Maybe they put gangsters in heaven. And John Gotti, I'm sure he went to heaven. He was a really great guy. He was a really good guy. He always said hello, morning, Michael. How you doing, Johnny? How are you? Loved watching me work on my barge. I used to drop pilings in. He'd be on shore looking, waving, talking business. Anyway, it would be with the fishes, or it would be, maybe he would be in hell playing cards with pedophile priests. Could be that. And then the third thing would definitely be, if he was in hell playing cards with pedophile priests, he would be dead, because he would be in hell playing cards with the pedophile. And the fourth thing, always remember, ladies and gentlemen, always remember the fourth thing, ladies and gentlemen, always remember the fourth thing is my friend Nick, who is the inventor of the taco rack, baby. He's my personal friend. He made a psychic link with me the first time we talked on the phone when I lived in Florida. He's a very psychic man, Nick. He's an inventor of a taco, very famous person. If you like to eat tacos, and who doesn't like to eat tacos? Everybody loves tacos, man. You get a good taco, you'll be on a taco kick for a month. He makes the taco racks. You can order them. Just Google taco rack, and then you will see he's from Long Island. He's a friend of mine. He's another famous person, but different. But he says, he taught me this expression, F them, that's like a F as in a Frank, F them, and the ark that they rode in on, baby. And my friend Art in South America wants me to move there. He says a shalom. So, F them and the ark that they rode in on, baby. And shalom from Rabbi Chewbacca in the Philippines, baby. That's right. That's right. That's right.